My name is Jack, and I'm a passionate angler and all-round fish fanatic. In this series of films, I'm trying to track down and catch 100 different species of fish in the British Isles as I fly, see and course fish for a range of weird species. This week I'm trying to catch all 3 species of stickleback on rod and line from a lake in Derbyshire to the Scottish Highlands. I'm starting my journey at a small private lake in Derbyshire, owned by my mate Matt Faulkner, who runs MF Aquatics, and also happens to be the British record holder for the free-spined stickleback at a whopping 8 grams, so there are some chunky ones in here. Matt had already started before me, so I walked over to see how he was getting on.
How are we getting on, Matt?
Alright, Jack, not anything yet, just literally just first cast, so just down the side here to see.
You're not emptied the lake yet?
No, absolutely not.
So people might not know who you are, but they might recognise your name because you are a British rod caught record holder, aren't you? You're in those hallowed halls.
This is very true, yes, and quite an impressive record it is. Often spoken about amongst friends as the biggest small fish in the British Isles.
Well, you know, it is impressive. So you've got the record free spine stickleback, haven't you?
Yes.
The biggest one. So what did it weigh?
It was 9 grams, and I believe it was ratified at 8 grams is what they accepted to allow for variations in the scales.
Oh, is that they knocked a gram off you, a gram off you?
Yes.
Bastards.
Well, yes, but as I say, still beat the previous record. So
yeah, what was? Do you know how much you beat it by?
I think it was only a gram in the end.
Oh right, so not by much.
But I think more impressive was that record had stood for something like 21 years.
Really?
Which obviously proves how desirable to catch sticklebacks are.
Hey, don't knock it. I mean, everyone's like jam jars and nets, but you can catch them on rod and line, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean this pond here, where the sort of record was caught from, we do get them fairly regularly. They've been a bit thin on the ground this year.
Okay.
But certainly last year, not rod bending records, but certainly we're getting quite a few this time of year in the run up to when they're getting ready to spawn, and then they seem to sort of go off and leave anglers' baits alone. So
well, they don't live very long, do they, stickleback? So I think once they're spawned, they're pretty knackered, aren't they?
Yeah. I think sort of 1 to 2 years is normal. In exceptional cases, you'll get some maybe 3 years. But yeah, we did have a run the year I caught the record and the year prior to where we just seemed to have some jumbo ones coming through.
Jumbo sticklebacks.
They were huge.
Because the interesting thing is the one that you got was spawned out as well.
It
was.
So
if you'd have caught it, a day or 2 earlier, it'd have been significantly bigger.
And I'd caught them bigger previously. It was just something that, again, probably with a stickleback, people don't think actually this could be a record breaker.
Well, mini fish records must get broken all the time. It's just people are like, oh, that's interesting, and chuck it back. It's only because, I maybe look into this.
And people don't. Sorry, little bit of a
hey,
dip.
No,
so they're the little dips you're looking for with sticklebacks. Okay. Tiny little dips, because they tend to mess around with the maggot, and sort of close to the bank there. That was look promising. So we'll see. But sorry, yes, mini records. Yeah, they're not a desirable fish.
That's not a stickleback, is it?
No, it's a rudd.
Ah, nice. It's a
rudd. So
why do you think the sticklebacks? Because you said it's not a one-off. You get big sticklebacks in here regularly. Why do you think they get so big in here?
So it's not a hugely overstocked fishery.
No.
We've got natural species such as rudd, tench, Crucian carp, and that's pretty much it really.
Yeah.
And obviously the sticklebacks. There's no sort of king carp in here, mirrors, commons, which generally cloudy the water. So what we found in this pond compared to the other one, which has got carp in, is there's a lot more sort of natural food sources. So things like caddis, snails, bloodworm particularly.
Lots of natural food for them.
Lots of natural food which the small fish sort of do well on, because the carp aren't essentially just eating everything. So I think that's one of the key sort of differences.
And you're living every angler's dream, because obviously this is your lake, isn't it? You've got a couple of lakes, this is not too far from where you live, and you get to fish here when you're... Oh, that looks a bit bigger.
Yeah, I hope it's a stickleback, but I'm pretty sure it's not.
Oh, it came off.
But yeah, it was a slightly better rudd. But
I'm excited. I mean, I have caught them on rod and line before, but not for a very long time. So if I can get one or two today, that would be lovely. So I'll give it a go, mate.
Well, close in, single red maggot. I think if I'd got some pinkies, I'd suggest those.
Okay.
Or even have a dig around, see if you could scratch up some small worms.
Yeah, sounds worth a shot.
Definitely the stickleback bait's a choice, but unfortunately, it's looking like we're going to be played by Rudd now. They've found the bait.
Give it a bash.
So we shall see.
I got into the peg opposite Matt and got my pole out. Stop it, you know what I mean.
So pretty basic tactics. I'm using a little whip today, a little pole. I've got a very small float on there. I've got a single maggot on a size 22. I've put the smallest maggot on I can find, and we're just going to fish tight in the margins because sticklebacks generally are pretty close in. Further out, they're going to get predated by something, so real tight in the margins. And if it was a clearer venue, you could probably even spot the sticklebacks and try and target them that way. But I know there's a few. I don't want to feed too heavily because obviously they're only little fish. They're going to be full up after a maggot or two. And we'll just see what happens.
As soon as the maggot went in, the pole went round and I knew it wasn't a stickleback, but an eyed, which is the natural variety of the orf, which I also caught that day, including this lovely blue orf. Matt was also into a fish, a lovely tench, which he has them up to 8 pounds in this lake. It was one of those days that one minute it was raining and the next minute it was sunshine. Not that I thought that would bother the fishing too much.
Little knot. The float's not even going under, it's being trailed, I think. Hey, there we go. Look at that. Got red on it, wow. That is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Let's get this unhooked and have a look at it. Well, it's not the biggest fish I've ever caught, but here it is in my special viewing device. I thought it had to be a jam jar with a stickleback, and this is a gorgeous male. So he's in full breeding colours at the moment. So you can see really red throat there. That's to kind of attract a mate, ward off other males. And the eyes are this fantastic blue colour. Gorgeous. So you only really see sticklebacks like this in the spring, and they lose this over the winter. So it's definitely a male. It's not a record breaker, but it's still a pretty big one. I'm chuffed with that. That's lovely to see.
Matt netted a small fish and shouted me over as it was something a little different.
Here we go. Well, I saw you catch something, Matt. What you got?
Yeah, so I thought this would be an interesting show. There's a few of these in here.
Look at the size of that!
And I know you like a rough, but
I love a bit of rough, yeah. That is huge. My God.
Just off from the sticklebacks as I was catching rods, but yeah.
So your theory about like mini species getting big on here and all the naturals, it's applying to rough as well then, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean in here there's lots of little tiny sort of inch long rudd that spawn prolifically every year, and obviously the sticklebacks as well. These guys breed in here, and say this is one of the bigger ones, but I have seen bigger ones in here.
Jesus, what a monster.
So yeah, but they are a cool little fish, and people underestimate some of these microspecies.
Oh, I love them. I mean, that's gorgeous.
So let's pop it back.
Yeah.
I thought I'd carry on a bit longer to see if I could catch any more sticklebacks, and my float started to move again.
All right, well the float's not even going under, so that's got to be a stickleback. I'm just going to hit into that. I say hit very loosely. It's not much of a strike. Oh yeah, that's a chunky girl. That is a chunky stickleback. And in fact, looking at that, now I was hoping we'd get one of these today. This is a 9-spine stickleback. I'll show you close up so you can get a better look at it. That's a monster. That's a huge 9-spine. Right, now I've had a chance to look at this, let me just show you, because this is a big 9-spine stickleback. Have a look at that. So, to give some context, these are the smallest freshwater fish in England, although this one is probably the biggest 9-spine I've ever seen. I've got no idea what the record is. This one might be beating it, God knows. It's a pregnant female, that's why it's a little bit bigger. But you normally see them half this size. So this is a beast, so like Matt was saying earlier, they're definitely munching on bloodworm and God knows what in there to get so big. So I'm chuffed with that. That's the first time I've ever caught one on rod and line. New species for me.
I did look to see if there was a record for 9 spines, and nothing came up, so I suppose I could have claimed it, but I wasn't really bothered with the faff. I should mention, as it can be confusing, that the 9-spined is also called the 10-spined, but they are the same species, which can have anywhere from 8 to 12 spines. They are awesome little fish and I was chuffed. I did also catch a couple of nice roach, including my biggest roach at 1.5 pounds, though I will be doing a roach episode next season. I also had a decent crucian which I didn't weigh, but it was a chunky old thing.
A lot of people think sticklebacks are rare, and I wouldn't say they're rare, it's just people don't generally use tactics fine enough to catch them, and you're not going to find them in a stocked fishery. They're not normally in commercial fisheries or lakes or anything like that, so it's got to be a more natural fishery. So there is a stream at the back of where I'm fishing today, and it does occasionally flood. In the past it has anyway, so that's how the sticklebacks would have got into here. But normally they're not a fish most anglers encounter in some of the newer venues, because most fishery owners would never think to stock sticklebacks. But they're a great addition to any lake, and if you're lucky enough you might even catch them. That's the biggest rough that I've ever seen that Matt caught. I'm pretty sure I've broken my PB crucian. You know, I haven't weighed it, so there's always going to be comments, but I reckon that's pushing 2, if not over 2 pounds. The roach was 1.5 pounds, we did weigh that. So that's my biggest roach, I'm pretty sure it's my biggest roach. And I've caught a decent stickleback, 3-spined, and a monster 9-spined. So something's going on here, I can't work out what, but lots of specimen fish, so I won't grumble at that. There's something about the stickleback, isn't there? It's the fish that most of us start our fishy journey with. It's wading into a river in our shorts when we're kids, jam jar, catching these amazing little fish. Admittedly, most of us aren't fishing for them on rod and line, but there's no reason why you can't. So it's a great kind of revisiting those memories as a kid to fish for something that I've not really targeted for lots of years. The weather is looking a bit pants now, so I think I'm going to call it a day. But I'm really chuffed to have caught 2 fish that I didn't think I was going to catch.
My next and final stop was to the Scottish Highlands to try and catch the largest species of stickleback in the UK, the 15-spined stickleback.
How are we all doing? Well, I'm completing my stickleback challenge and I'm getting the 3rd species, which is the 15-spined stickleback, and it's a marine species. So as you can see behind me, I'm in a harbour, I'm somewhere on the west coast of Scotland. I know there are lots of 15-spined sticklebacks, so I've got a light rod out. I'm going to be jigging a small maggot. I'm using maggot in the sea and a small hook, and fingers crossed we can tick off 15-spined sticklebacks. I have caught them before down in Dorset. I've not come all the way to the west coast of Scotland just to catch sticklebacks. I'm actually on my way to the Mull. It's pretty soggy. We'll see what we can do. Hopefully we'll catch a few fish.
I dropped down the bait and straight away I was into a few cod family fish with a little pollock, whiting and a pool cod all in the same session. My setup was a light LRF rod and a ball weight with light line attached to a small hook and a maggot. I did get the rod bent double when a mackerel took it. I might be the first person to catch a mackerel on double maggot. I brought the maggot higher up in the water towards the pontoon as I was getting plagued with other species. It was alive with fish down there. I even had a grey gurnard past the camera, which is a species I'm quite keen to catch. I eventually spotted a stickleback. Its mouth was so small I had to wait for it to completely engulf the maggot, but I eventually hooked one.
Sure, you're going to be able to see this. That is a tiny fish, but absolutely gorgeous. That's a 50, oh, can't even see it on the camera. That is a 15-spined stickleback, tiny little marine stickleback. Kind of more like a pipefish than a stickleback. They're getting on their way there, so absolutely chuffed to get one of those. In the end, they ended up fishing quite close in. They were kind of hanging around in the weed, but that is fantastic. I'm chuffed to get one on camera. So I caught one years ago, but I wasn't sure if we'd get one on camera, so fantastic.
It was great fun revisiting sticklebacks, and catching a 9-spine was a first for me. It was great to add a few more fish to the tally, including 3-spine stickleback, 9-spine stickleback and 15-spine stickleback. New episodes of the Species Hunt are out each Sunday at 5 p.m, and next week I'm back out at sea from Poole to try and catch black bream. I've got a selection of merch out from A3 fish posters to playing cards and an ID book for sale via my website with a link in the description.
Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed this vid, why not check out this other video right here? If you can, please subscribe to the channel, only takes a couple of seconds and it really helps me out. I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.